Good morning or good afternoon, good evening if you're watching this in a different time zone than myself. I'm actually trying something a little new. I just realized that I have the live tab on my desktop, so I'm super stoked. I'm actually in the middle of hunkering down. This is why I'm actually in a slightly dark office today and a hoodie. So anywho, I wanted to pop in here today because a number of reasons. Number one, I'm working on some fabulous new content for this community, but in all transparency, as much as I'm building the content I'm going to share with you in just a moment, for this community inspired businesswomen's group, I'm going to be encouraging each and every one of you to head on over to my business page, Erica Castner, because that's where we're going to be delivering a lot of content. Hey, Juliana, how are you? So there's a purpose and there's a reason behind all that, and I'm going to be getting to that in just a moment. But here's what I wanted to share with you today. The question in the chat box is, what is your ultimate goal? Well, for some of you in this group, you have been on this journey with me for quite some time. We started this community in 2015. It has evolved since then, and it keeps evolving. Why? Well, because as humans, we've got to continue to evolve. We've got to get, oh, thank you. I don't even have a lip gloss on today, girlfriend, so thank you for that compliment. We have to evolve as women, as leaders, as the stewards of our ship. That's metaphoric, of course. Whatever we're trying to do, we've got to evolve. And one of the ways that I evolve, I have multiple ways that I evolve, but one of the ways that I like to evolve as a business owner and as a entrepreneur is going to conferences. And so last week, I actually went to something called the Digital Footprint Conference. Now, they run it twice a year. They run one episode in the spring. They run another episode in the fall. And hopefully you guys can't see this little pop-up that popped up here. But the fall conference is usually on the West Coast. And so what was fascinating about this last conference was I actually had an opportunity, no joke, I had an opportunity to have a private lunch with the founder of UGG boots. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Now that it's, for those of you that are in Florida, we're experiencing the first cold front that we've had in probably 7 months. Most of you are probably even pulling out your UGG boots. But I had an opportunity to have a sidebar chat with him. Now, of course, I've known Brian Smith, the founder, about, I'm trying to think here, about a year and a half or so. And I was fortunate to have him as a guest on my podcast. So we have a little bit of a relationship, and he was speaking at this private luncheon. And then, of course, he spoke to all of the attendees. I believe there were about 300 attendees at this conference over the weekend. He spoke on the Friday morning, but the Thursday before, Ed and my husband, Ed, and I actually had an opportunity with about 18 to 20 other people having this private lunch. And so here's what's cool is, so on the plane ride to California for this conference, I had actually been doing a lot of scribing out a lot of details about what is coming up in the next few weeks, not only for this community, but what's going on for my business in general. And I kept trying to put my finger on how I was going to tie it all together. And I kept thinking about ultimate goals, right? Because what is my ultimate goal? What is your ultimate goal? What is your neighbor's ultimate goal? It's not necessarily important for you to know my ultimate goal, although on some level, I'll get to that in a second. I think it's more important for you to know exactly what you stand for. So in the greater scheme of what you're trying to do as a leader, as a female in business, as a mom, as a spouse, like whatever title you want to deem yourself for that day, it is your responsibility to know what the ultimate goal is. Now, however, I don't expect that anybody would be so specific. Like I know when I was a kid, I wanted to be the next Whitney Houston, okay? I loved to sing. That didn't happen for me, but ultimately what I wanted to do was I wanted to inspire people with my voice. So here we are 20 some, 30 some years later. That was a long time ago. I'm actually not singing to inspire people with my voice, but I'm actually doing that vocally. I'm actually doing that by gathering a tribe. Juliana's a part of that tribe. Many of you that are watching are part of that tribe. But it's not just because of me. It's because you collectively, somehow, some way, buy into that vision of impacting people, of empowering people, of inspiring people to get to that next level of greatness. So that's my ultimate goal, right? To help people, especially women, get to that next level of awesomeness. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to go do that by winning a Grammy, right? So for you, I challenge each and every one of you to decide first and foremost, if you have that figured out, fan-flip-tastic. But I know for a lot of us in this room, it's taken us quite some time. Maybe we're saying, gosh, you know what? I wish I could define my purpose. I wish I could tap into that. I wish I knew what direction I was heading into. I'm really not for sure what step to take next. If you have secretly said that to yourself in your brain, or you have said that out loud to anybody in the last 6 months, I challenge each and every one of you next week, and I'm not going to get into the details of this quite yet today, but next week I'm actually going to be putting together a little challenge. It's actually kicking off on Monday, a little challenge that's going to help anybody that wants to come on board with this challenge define what they're wanting to accomplish in their business. However, it starts with identifying what that vision looks like for yourself, okay? Because how in the world are you going to be able to get other people on board with like your referral partnerships, your client partnerships, your relationships in general? How in the heck can you get that together if you can't define that for yourself? So back to Brian Smith, the founder of UGG Boots. So I'm actually, you know, like I said, I'm writing a bunch of stuff out, kind of the 2018 version of what is going on in Erica Castner's world, right? How am I going to be empowering people to move the needle in their world? How am I going to help them do that? And so Ed's sitting next to me, and I'm taking copious notes. I'm taking notes in this little notebook right here. And literally what ended up happening was he ended up sharing a bit of his story, and I'm not going to get into that today, but it was actually a pretty private, poignant piece of his story that like nobody had even heard of before. Like I've seen him speak about 4 or 5 times, and I had never even heard this part of his story yet. And so it got me thinking about 2 things. Number one, I don't tell my story enough. So I like it's hard for, like, yes, of course, I'm talking about in the context of helping people elevate their presence in the market space and be more productive at those efforts to actually get people, gather people together. But I really don't go deep into that story, and that's going to change. And number 2, I really don't get the message out there in terms of helping people connect with their vision. And that's so critical, because if we're not connected to that, if we're not tied into the reason why we do what we do, the girls that have been, the ladies, I should say, that have been in my Inspired or my Rev Up Your It Factor program, they know we've got to start with our why, right? We've got to be connected with our why. Simon Sinek, it's a book that he wrote. He did a TED Talk on it. But when Brian told his story, and Brian was actually going into all these details, I wrote down the words, the vision. And so for each and every one of you in this group, I challenge you to get really present and really connected with what your ultimate goal, what your ultimate vision is going to be. It's not the product you're pushing right now. It's not the service that you're handing off to your clients. It's not even about the client experience, right? It's truly about why you do what you do, and the vision and the mission and the culture that you're trying to build as an empire, right? And right now your empire might be you, yourself, and you. That doesn't make any sense. Me, myself, and I was trying to go there with that analogy, but I failed miserably. So the point is, it might only be you at the moment, but the only way that we're going to grow, the only way we're going to bring other people onto our team is if we spell that vision out, we spell that ultimate goal out for ourselves, then we can start aligning with other people that understand it, get it, that respect it, that can, of course, not own it the way that we do, but they can at least see the finish line with you, right? So we've got to be able to do that first and foremost. So what I want you to do, I'm not going to take up any more of your time today because I'm going way longer than I wanted to today, but I challenge you in the comment section of this video is, what is your ultimate goal? And I don't want you to be mamby-pamby about this, okay? Like, I really want you to put some thought behind it, and don't overthink it either. Like, don't like write something out and then say, oh, that was terrible, and then like go back to the drawing board. But very succinctly write out, what is your ultimate goal? And here's the other challenge. You don't want your ultimate goal to be about the product or service that you're positioning yourself with right now, okay? Again, back when I was 6, 7, 8 years old, I wanted to inspire people with my voice. I couldn't articulate it that way. I just wanted to be a famous singer. But today, knowing what I know now, I'm not that famous singer. I'm not even necessarily a famous speaker yet, to the extent of like world domination famous yet. But I am, in a sense, going out there and positioning myself in the marketplace, talking to you all, building community, understanding where your needs are, and then figuring out how I can fill in the gaps. So if you are in that boat where you're trying to connect the dots for people and inspire people, empower people to do whatever it is that you're doing in your industry, rock it, fantastic. But in the comment section of this video, type me a note. Let me know, what is your ultimate goal? Do it not just for me, do it for yourself. Because if we can start identifying the vision, if we can start writing this down on paper, it is amazing what can happen and what can transform in a short amount of time when you start speaking that out there on a consistent basis, and also letting your peers know, other women in this group, what's going on with the group. The last thing I want to share with you today is the reason why I'm putting so much emphasis on shifting the conversation over to the Erica Castner page. There's a good probability that, in all transparency, that we're going to be making some shifts inside this group. I really want to challenge each and every one of you to start thinking on a bigger scale, having conversations with other people outside of the scope of this space. And if I'm going to be completely honest, my ultimate vision with this group was to inspire conversations to happen inside of the group. And quite honestly, we've now been 2.5 years inside of the group of this, or inside of this group. I don't know what else I can do to inspire those conversations. They're not happening at the level that I thought they would be happening at this point in the juncture. So I'm like I said, I'm making some serious decisions on whether or not this group is going to exist into 2018. Not to scare anybody, not to like, you know, it's just something I've been wrestling with for a long time, and our time, everybody's time in this group is super valuable. I want this to be a valuable space. If it's not valuable for the collective 2,000 of you that are in this group, I wouldn't expect you to waste your time in it. I certainly don't want to waste my time in it. I want it to be valuable and impactful. And right now, honestly, there's a lot of irons in the fire that I've got going on. So I want to make sure that we're directing people to a resource that is impactful for them. And right now we're having some engagement inside of the Erica Castner page, and there's some opportunities for me to connect with you more strategically over there as well too. So that's all I'm going to share about that right now, but I'm going to hop off here because I have been on here for 14 minutes now, and I wanted to be on here for like 7. So you guys rock. Thank you so much for being a part of this community. Like I said, I challenge you to put in what your ultimate goal is in the chat box so we can have some continued dialogue on this topic. So you guys rock. Thank you so much for being here today. Until next time, take care.